What's up, Spartans? Batman from TST Gaming here, keeping you updated with everything Halo. And today, we're going to be giving you our review of Halo the television series, first episode, Contact. But before we get started, please subscribe for more Halo content. Before we get started, please note that this review will contain spoilers of the first episode. If you do not want any spoilers for the first episode, Contact, please go to Paramount Plus and watch it, and then come back and see if you agree with our opinions or not. But with that being said, this is your spoiler warning, and now we can get started. So after many years of them saying that they want to create a live-action Halo, I remember back during the glory days of Halo 2, when they had announced that Peter Jackson, the famed director of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, was going to be creating a movie of Halo that he was going to direct. Eventually, obviously, it didn't happen and things fell through. And then we had the Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn, which was a 5-part live-action web series, which was created to promote the release of Halo 4. Plus, we had Halo Nightfall, which was in 2014 to tie into the Master Chief Collection / Halo 5 Guardians. But back in 2013, when they announced that they were going to be making a television series of Halo and Steven Spielberg was going to be producing on it, this was in 2013. That's 8 years ago. After being in developmental hell and trying to finally get it to work, we now have gotten our first episode. Now, this episode seems to have been receiving a lot of mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people don't like it at all, and some people are just like, it's got potential. I would say that early on into this season, I would say that I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how much I actually enjoyed the episode versus nitpicking it. And I think a big part of that, for me at least, was the fact that they had announced ahead of time that this is going to be taking place in what they're calling the Silver Timeline. So it is a canon, it's just a canon separate from the main canon, which is the books, the comics, and the games. Some people were upset about when they announced that, but I actually think it's great because they're not trying to fit all these pieces together because those hardcore fans will recognize the mistakes. They're doing it to say, hey, we want to be able to have a little bit more freedom to do with what we want, with the story, with the characters, and kind of take it to new places. So for me, I think that was a great decision, and it allows it to kind of just start blank, start fresh. And that's kind of what Disney did when they bought Star Wars. They said all the old canon didn't count. We're starting over. All the books and stuff for 30 years or however long, they're just wiped away. We're starting fresh, so we have more room to run instead of just trying to fit into these small gaps in the way. So to me, that part was great. The one thing I do want to say I actually really liked about the show is the casting. I think that they did a really good job casting, specifically with Halsey and Kwan Ha. I thought both were standouts. Even Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief, I thought did a great job, specifically when he was in the suit, because when he took off the helmet, it seemed like he'd almost changed characters. And I get it was almost like a change of the character himself on more of a symbolistic part, but the cast, I thought, it did a really good job. I like the idea that Catherine Halsey is doing what she wants to do, just like she does in the books, and that the Spartans just kind of follow her, almost blindly. The fact that Miranda Keyes is more of a scientist now, we'll have to see how that plays out. But overall, I'm really happy with the casting that they have. Next up, I'm going to talk about the CGI and props, and overall production, I should say. The production value seems a little shy on this one. I felt like there were some shots where, with the CG, specifically once Master Chief throws his AR to the ground, it's super CG. It's almost the kind of CG you would expect from like a CW show or one of those kind of shows where it's like they have to just kind of make it kind of work, but they don't need it to be perfect. With something that's supposed to be as such a high production, I expected a little bit more of that. And some of the suits feel a little bit off, but overall serviceable. But the CG on the Covenant, I will say, specifically with the Prophet of Mercy, was absolutely fantastic. I loved the way he looked. And the way that, a lot of these scenes that were shot with Madrigal, with Reach, and with High Charity, those shots where you're seeing them kind of from a distance are absolutely stunning. I absolutely love them. The CG with the elites I thought was a little... They seemed a little bit more like brutes rather than elites, with like they didn't have quite that elongated neck that I personally think that should have been there. Maybe that's something they'll change over time. Maybe they did it for a number... I'm sure they had different reasons for making the changes that they did. Overall, I think the elites are very serviceable in terms of storytelling. I don't think that they really take you out of the story that much, but I would have loved to see not just a little bit more biologically accurate elites, but also more of the other Covenant species, like the grunts and the jackals. Even if it was just on High Charity, would have been great. I am really excited to see where they take the human that's with the Covenant, where they kind of go with her character, why she was chosen to live, and what her purpose is in the grander story of the Silver Timeline. Now, I will say that as far as story goes, I really enjoyed the story. At first, I thought it was just going to be Master Chief. He's just going mission to mission, and then we're going to see him eventually find Halo, and that's the end of Season 1. And I still think that that's going to be kind of the case. However, as we all know, he kind of goes rogue at the end of the first episode, which was not expected, in my opinion, whatsoever. Now, they almost made it seem like he didn't remember that he had a family. Now, I can kind of see that being the case / not, because I remember in the Fall of Reach novel, when he's training, he keeps trying to like think of his past, but they just keep the kids so busy that they don't even have time to think of that kind of thing. So I can see that it's kind of, these memories are pretty much pushed down because it's just the mission. There's not really a lot of time for them to really sit down and think about it. As far as why it's because he touched the artifact, bringing up his past, I'm not sure. Again, that's one of those things we'll just have to see how it plays out. They set a lot of seeds in this particular episode for the rest of the season. Specifically with Maquis, I think is how you say it, which is the child or the woman who's with the Covenant. We have Master Chief going rogue with Quan Ha. We have Halsey working on her own secret project, which I believe to be Cortana, as well as what's going on behind the scenes, because obviously this woman was ordered to be killed. Instead of just having Oni take her out, they wanted a Spartan to take her out, and it only further separated the Chief from the UNSC. I did like that Halsey was basically able to order the Spartans around as she would in the books, because she's kind of I'm going to do my own thing regardless of what you want me to do. I'm going to do enough just to get away with it because I'm that important that I have that kind of power. The next thing I want to talk about is the score. There were certain moments where, especially when you heard the Halo theme, you're just like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. I really liked the intro scene, the opening sequence. I thought that was really well done, where it was not overly into the surgery process and all that, but it kind of just showed them making a Spartan in a way. There were several Easter eggs on this particular episode, and I'm not going to go into them too much, but I will say there was one that even people are saying was, whether intentional or not, a nod to the Mass Effect series with them calling out Commander Shepard. Whether that's true or not, or just happened to be random happenstance, I'll let that be up to you guys. But there was a lot of little things that were like, oh wait, this is connected to this, or this is connected to that. And again, it doesn't always have to connect the same way with it being a different timeline. So I think for a first episode, they did a great job. My guess is this season's going to be all about finding Halo, whereas in the books they stumbled upon Halo. And then season 2 will be their version of Halo 1. How that will play out with having a wide cast, whereas Halo Combat Evolved didn't have such a wide cast. I mean, when you think about it, we had Cortana, Chief, Johnson, Keyes, and that was pretty much it. Of course, they would probably add more characters to it to make it a little bit more, to make it have more of an ensemble show kind of feel. But at the same time, are we going to see the fall of Reach in the first season? Because part of how they stumbled upon Halo is they fled from Reach as it was getting destroyed. And I think the fall of Reach is a very important story point in the original timeline. So it'll be interesting if they are going to say, nope, Reach is fine. We're just going to focus on the Halo. We're not focusing on how they got to Halo, as in through the connection of Reach. Because Chief was there at the Battle of Reach. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But overall, if I had to rate the episode, I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10, which is actually a lot higher than I expected to do. So I'm excited for the show. I liked it a lot more than I expected to. We didn't get to see Cortana, which I thought was interesting. I thought we'd at least see her, but I think she's the woman in the pod that Halsey has stashed away. So it'll be really cool to see when that takes place. I'm expecting a lot of complaints when she comes back because people have already been complaining the way that she looks. It is what it is. We've had several variations of Cortana over the years, and she changed a lot over the years. So just because this is how we see her in this season doesn't mean this is how we'll always see her. I do hope to see a higher production value for second season, which has already been confirmed. But let us know in the comments down below what you thought of the first episode. Whether you're invested enough in the characters, whether you're just going to watch it just to have something to watch, or if you're just done with it already, or if you're not going to watch it at all. But that's all we have for today. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching TST Gaming, and until next time, just play.